the town office. And this is basically everything you need to know about renting at Crawford Park. It's our current rental policy. Of course, we'll go through and change it as need be. It has our new alcohol policy on it, the requirement for host liquor liability, liquor license or police presence, a description of mansion weddings, exclusive and non-exclusive, maximum occupancy, so on and so forth, our discounts. So basically this is everything that people need to know in 1 or 2 pages. And as you see, it basically goes through everything. So that's the other thing we've done. Now, we've also done one for Brighttown Park, and I want to thank Goldie for reminding me that all of us that it is Oakland Beach.
Wow, there's your Oakland Beach, Goldie. I can't believe it. Fantastic.
So basically, this will be the same thing. We want to do this for all the parks, and we'll update it for next year as we come with permit and parking and off hours and in-season, off-season, so on, and contact information. So once again, it's along those same lines. Now, our Town of Rye page, as everyone sees, this is our basic Town of Rye page. What we've done is I've sort of updated our Crawford Park page because I believe that we need a little bit more description of what the park is about. And from the Crawford family, we received a very extensive history of the Crawford family and of the mansion itself. And in this history are these photographs. And that's Edna Crawford on the left, her wedding photograph. And that's Everett Crawford on the top right. And this statue here actually appeared in the gardens and is in the hands of the Crawford family right now. But this will give people a better idea of the history of Crawford Park. To see actually that document, and it is a rather extensive document. Let me just jump over to it. The original name for Crawford Park was called Shantarock Farms. And this document's about 40-some pages. And basically it gives us this fantastic history of the actual mansion and the Crawford family. It contains many pictures, personal letters, floor plans of the original mansion setup. I mean, this was fantastic, and as I've been going through it, it's just amazing what this place actually looked like and the history behind it. The Crawford family history, their lineage, which goes all the way back to England. And it also, Edna Crawford was related to John Jay. So there's a lot of information about this. There's Everett Crawford's obituary. It tells about his life. And then there are these fabulous photos that they have included in this packet that just go to show, you know, that the Crawfords, not only were they magnificent benefactors, but they were family. And when you go to Crawford Park, the public should realize this was someone's home. And there are letters in here from Everett Crawford to his granddaughter. This is actually a photo, this one right here. That's Everett Crawford as a baby, and that's his mother. So there's a lot of information that we received from the Crawford family, and I just want to thank them publicly for all of this information. And they included photos of the family and the furnishings in the Crawford mansion as time went by. I think that's about it. The only other...
That's Crawford Park right there?
That's Crawford Park, yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Bring back the horses, Joe.
Yeah. What's our policy on that, Bishop?
Here's
have the horses
They have to be on a leash.
That's a leash policy, yes. So basically, that's it. The only other page I wanted to go over was the new page, which we're going to put up, is the one for the African American Cemetery. And as Mr. Nardi had described, this is new. It's actually in the works. and we should have this up on the website fairly shortly. A brief description of the cemetery itself, its origins, the restoration project that the committee is going through, of course. And then here are our restored headstones. Our anonymous benefactor has come in and placed these stones back on their pedestals. And this was a monumental job, and let me tell you, this came out beautiful. If you have a chance, go over to the cemetery and just take a look at this marvelous work this person did for us, and we'll be forever grateful to them. And then at the bottom of the page, we have a nice video. There's Mr. Nowotny. And you can go in and check out the news report.
How long's the video?
It's a couple of minutes.
Well, in Rye, dozens of people came out to pay tribute to the veterans buried in the African-American cemetery. At least 22 veterans and 97 civilians are said to be buried in the Civil War-era cemetery alongside Greenwood Union Cemetery on North Street. Community leaders say after years of neglect, the cemetery is in need of some TLC. And they're spearheading a community-wide effort to help restore it to its former glory, which will make it easier for them to create an accurate database of all those buried there.
The cemetery symbolizes those interred here during the years of segregation in our country, the African-American citizens and veterans of the town of Rye, and their contribution to our model American community.
Organizers say they hope to have an annual memorial service to honor those buried in the cemetery.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Very nice.
Well, yeah, let's go. I mean, Mr. Thomas is another one of our secret weapons. He's works in the town office, but he basically has made our, I have to say, I don't know, our website, leading website. In the history, the whole history of the town of Rye, the Baird book is on there, right?
Yes, it is.
So Goldie, I know, is our...
We have a Rye Town history, but I'm also going to take the video and redone the video and show it all over the place.
Beautiful.
Like I did with the 300.
Do we have the flashbacks is on our website or not?
No. We're still working. That's going to be part of our model American community.
Wonderful. Great. Well,
I got one question for Dave. Dave, with regards to posting on the Facebook page, people can't post on that page, correct?
They can submit comments, and basically I'm going.
You got to clear them.
Yes.
Perfect.
Well, they'll pop up if I can. I'll stop them, and
Maybe we can make that page where you can't post on the page unless you're a friend, so we know.
Oh yeah. Well, that's generally on Facebook. You can only post if you're a friend, and I set the restrictions for only friends to post on there.
Thank you. Great job.
yeah, great
The
job.
website is ongoing, so
Beautiful. Thanks so much, David.
thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, David.
Just remember to a reminder to Mr. Villanova. We need your Bible.
There you go. Beautiful. Exactly. All right, great. Moving right along, we have a resolution here to the Columbus Day celebration, and they're looking for a donation, Bishop?
This has been part of the annual support that we've provided for the Memorial Day ceremonies, for the 4th of July ceremonies, and the Columbus Day ceremonies. There is $1,500 in the budget line, but recognizing the discussions and so forth that we went through for the 4th of July, and the changes that were made, I felt that this should be something that the board should approve before we go ahead.
Okay. Any comment? Do we want to give $1,000 or $1,500, or do we want to? What's the board's view?
I'd like to make a motion that we provide the Columbus Day committee with a contribution of $1,500.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Beautiful.
Thank you. Okay, Southeast Plumbing Contract Extension.
Yeah, just to bring people up to speed here, 2 years ago, we went out with an extensive RFP process to contract for electrical services and also for plumbing services. The two contractors that were selected were Westmore Electric and Southeast Plumbing. Now, those were 2-year agreements with no increases. So we've had the benefit of fixed pricing for 2 years. We collectively had some discussions, and I have correspondence from each of the contractors asking and offering, actually, a 1-year extension at no increase in price. I can tell you that we are quite happy with the service. Westmore Electric has been Johnny on the spot for us, regardless of weather and regardless of day of week. And that's particularly helpful for us at Rye Town Park. He has been there every time we've called him.
And the plumbing, the same thing?
And the plumbing has been the same thing, in spite of the fact that these people come from Yorktown. They are here, generally speaking, within 35, 40 minutes. And again, we've used them extensively, mostly at Rye Town Park, where we need that responsiveness, whether it's a Friday afternoon or whether it's a Sunday morning.
Perfect.
We have hundreds of people on the beach.
Well,
We're
I'm gonna
recommending
actually
that
take both resolutions together.
Yes.
And we're recommending the extension of these contracts.
it's a 1-year extension at the existing pricing, no increase in price, and no change in terms.
Okay, so that's Southeast Plumbing and Westmore Electric. Can I get a motion to approve both those resolutions, extend those contracts?
Motion to approve.
Second, and on the question, Bishop, if you could just provide the contracts or the agreement,
Yeah.
so when Hope puts this together, she attaches
Right.
the contract behind the resolution.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Paul?
D and E are resolutions that you have, are similar to ones you've adopted in the past. These are cert cases that are ready for prime time. They're being teed up for resolution, where we have to assign counsel. I'm not going to read them off, because they're self-explanatory. My assistant, Mitch, has the information that I know you're all that the supervisor will be asking about, which is the town AVs, the petitioner's proposed AV, and the difference. So I would ask the board to
Thank
adopt
you,
these
Mr.
resolutions as assigning counsel.
Assessor.
Can I get, I'd like to take them both up at the same time again, if we could. So approve for certiorari support, Mr. Bender and Mr. Vitigliano. Can I get a motion to approve them?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'm closing on Billy Villanova. Okay, first off, before we get, we're going to, your correction, Mr. Markowitz.
Yes.
Your correction to the tax roll. Okay, just explain what we're looking at here.
Okay, what we're looking at is a resolution to, of course I lost amongst the pile, a resolution to correct an accidental deletion of an enhanced star on the tax assessment roll after it was approved by the town assessor in 2010. Fundamentally, this is an example of where there was a mistake made. The town is correcting it through the typical process. It reflects sort of the fact that checks and balances do work. There's a case where we originally granted the star to Mrs. Johnson. In 2010, by accident, it was deleted. In 2011, we sent her notice. She responded to the notice quite strongly, and we are correcting the assessment, the tax roll at this point in time. So it illustrates the fact that there are checks and balances in place, and this is one case where the checks and balances did work. By correcting the tax roll, Ms. Johnson will be able to pay the correct tax bill before it is due with no penalties or interest. She will be given an enhanced star exemption. The good news is the cost for the enhanced star exemption will not be placed upon the local taxpayers, but will be reimbursed by the state of New York to the school district.
Wonderful.
Perfect.
Any questions, comments? No. Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Justice Court Assistants. Mr. Nowotny.
In essence, this is Ann Capisi going at it again. She's been extremely successul over the last couple of years.
You got more money for us?
Well, we're hoping. What this is this is basically giving her the approval to go after additional funds. And all we're asking here is that the board vote their approval to file the application.
Absolutely.
And just to remind us, Mr. Nowotny, that this is not a grant, this is not a matching grant, this is zero money coming out of the town of Rye's budget.
Yes,
Well, it is
the
a
Justice Court Assistant Program.
It's not a matching grant.
Right, it's not a matching grant. The Justice Court Assistance Program has provided these wonderful chairs for the witnesses and so forth. The chairs that you're sitting in right now,
They're too long.
they
Need a higher
actually paid for the renovation of the dais and the floor.
Sitting on the seat here.
I'm trying to think of all the things that they
Right,
did.
but-
The conference room chairs that we have.
Very simply, this is money that's given to us. There's no quid pro quo, other than we have to use it for the betterment of the area.
Right, you have to use it for the benefit of the court and the court system.
Perfect.
Beautiful. Okay. You got a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Mr. Noto, moving right along.
Yeah, this is record-setting, Supervisor.
Yes.
I think all our heads are spinning. Not quite Deputy Supervisor Villanova's pace, but we're getting there. As the board may recall, in July, I had asked for permission to file an appeal with the City of Rye Board of Assessment Review. In that, the City of Rye Assessor had rescinded the exemption for Seaside Johnny's Restaurant at Rye Town Park. They are asking that we pay, that the Rye Town Park Commission pay property taxes to the City of Rye, and we felt that the loss of that exemption was inappropriate and inconsistent with the precedent and case law as it is dedicated parkland. We filed the appeal and had a hearing at the BAR of the City of Rye in July, as did, by the way, the County of Westchester as pertains to the Tiki Bar, for which also lost the exemption. They filed an answer to our appeal on September 15th, which we received yesterday, which is that they denied our request for the exemption due to the private commercial use as a standalone bar restaurant, i.e. Seaside Johnny's. So our options are do nothing and pay the taxes, or file an Article 7 certiorari proceeding against the City of Rye seeking to have the exemption restored. And therefore, in order for me to do that, I would need a resolution of this board authorizing me to file an Article 7. I would say that the Rye Town Park Commission, about an hour ago, also authorized me to do that on behalf of the Commission. Although, under the enabling legislation, technically the owner of the park is the Town of Rye. The Rye Town Park Commission is the manager and manages the park. So I felt a resolution from both entities would be appropriate.
Any questions? If not, do you have a motion to approve?
Who's gonna be, you personally will be
I will be the attorney.
representing the town?
I will represent the town and the Rye Town Park Commission
At no
at no
cost.
additional cost, whatever my current salary is here in
Pro bono.
town. It's not pro bono, because I am a town employee.
Who is it? Who
But
is it?
I may, by the way, reach out to other council who, in case I need assistance in some technical areas. But
Who
yes.
is it expected will actually pay the tax if the tax ultimately
the Rye
is
Town
payable?
Park Commission would come out of their budget. And ironically, as Supervisor pointed out earlier, 49.5% of the expense is carried by the City of Rye. So they are in effect paying themselves half of this, or 49% of this tax.
Not the tenant, which is kind of odd.
No, the license agreement that the town executed with Seaside Johnny's, I think in the 98 or 99, or 2000, thank you, which runs till 2016, does not provide any provision for a pass-through of a tax, because there was no tax contemplated at the time, as the property was tax exempt. County of Westchester, however, entered into an agreement with the same entity for the tiki bar, and they did have a provision for a pass-through. In the event there was a tax, the tenant would have to pay it. But that agreement was only 2 years ago. So they must, the town in 2000 was not thinking that this would happen, and I candidly can't blame them. I mean, who thought that anybody would tax parkland? So this is a pretty significant deviation from...
So in essence, what this means is that the City of Rye will be reaching into our pocket
Yes.
and helping themselves to some of our taxpayers.
About $22,000 a year. Yeah.
It would seem to me, certainly advisable to proceed legally.
Yeah, I seem a little bit non-energetic. I vented my frustration at the last Rye-Town Park meeting. I agree with you. They're reaching into our park, and it's kind of disappointing. I appreciate that there's a process where their assessor, in the same fashion as Mr. Markowitz, did a technical analysis and ultimately decided that we owe them money. Obviously, we're going to challenge that, and I think the irony here is they're actually going to spend more money than they're going to get.
Potentially. We don't know what they pay.
My guesstimate, Joe Carvin's back-of-the-envelope estimate is that it's going to cost them more because it's $22,000.
Yeah.
Which half is there? So they need $11,000. Now, the legal costs alone to the town of Rye, City of Rye, presumably will be close to $11,000.
No, not necessarily.
Well,
they have people on
they-
salary, and this is forever. It'll be on the tax rolls
We have a
forever.
corporation counsel who I'm not sure if she handles these matters, but
On the payroll.
Well, we'll see. I think it's, personally, I think it's a complete waste of human resource.
It's a little unneighborly, to say the least.
Yes.
But,
and unneighborly, and as I said in the last meeting, a little bit more vociferously, with all the hard work that Rye-Town has done, Mr. Nowotnik has spent inordinate number of hours working with the City of Rye. We've done quadruple backflips to accommodate what is a very positive involvement in Rye-Town Park. So I have to say I was quite exercised in the last meeting and disappointed by the unneighborly treatment. I did suggest to the Rye City members that they might, as a policy matter, right, because it's the assessor is independent, the Board of Assessment Review is independent, will both determine that indeed we owe them $22,000, even though they hadn't done anything for 10 years, right? The same assessor. No change in the situation.
It's been almost 100 years, actually. It's 100 years. It's not 10 years. It's 100 years.
Well, I'm just saying the same assessor, right? So.
No, she's not been the assessor for 100 years.
No, she hasn't.
Seems like it, though. Huh?
I guess the thing that changed was the Osborne case that had been 12 years.
We have been parkland for 100 years, and our enabling legislation specifically says we're parkland and specifically provided for a restaurant, which is different than the tiki bar. And I think that from the City of Rye's standpoint, I suspect and this is total speculation on my part, that they were looking at the tiki bar as the big one. That's where the big numbers are. And we are small potatoes compared to that, but I don't think they could have gone after the tiki bar and not gone after us. I think it would have been, inconsistent for them to do that because it wouldn't have made any sense. So I suspect, and again, this is my speculation, that they were really looking at the tiki bar as a source of some significant revenue because it's a much bigger operation and the numbers are much bigger than us. But we're here and we're in it now, and as I said, we're the dolphin caught up in the tuna net, and we have to get out of that net. So I think this has to be resolved one way or the other. If we are exempt, we're exempt. If we're not, we're going to have to budget for this tax. The Rye-Town Park Commission will have to budget for this tax going forward. So Judge LaCava will make that decision after we get in front of him.
Wonderful.
Mr. Note, I have a question, and I don't know if I can present it the proper way. The village of City of Rye is going to pay 50% of this loss or this potential tax. The town of Rye is going to pay approximately 50%. what legislation, what law is there that will force the City of Rye to pay tax to itself?
The law is one of the 7 or 8 modifications of the Rye Town Park Act that requires them to pay 49.5% of the operating cost of the park. That law requires them to pay any operating expense of the park, including taxes, fees, or whatever. Because we pay a county sewer tax, and they have to pay that as well.
So ultimately, at the end of the year, when we do our adjustments, the town of Rye is going to request from the City of Rye X amount of dollars to pay themselves back.
Yes, partially, yeah, among other things, yeah.
See how silly this sounds?
Right.
Great.
Okay, can I get a motion to...
So, yeah, you're authorizing the town attorney to file an Article 7 certiorari proceeding against the City of Rye Board of Assessment Review to have the exemption restored to Rye Town Park pertaining to Seaside Johnny's. That's the motion.
Great, can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Noto. Mr. Markowitz,
Yes.
do you have anything to talk about tonight, or we give you your free...
It's like,
Okay, yeah, please, yep, please.
Just like to inform both the board and the public that the Board of Assessment Review completed their deliberations before September 15th. All of the decisions or determinations of the independent Board of Assessment Review have been sent to all the applicants in the form of a letter telling them of the results. Okay?
How many challenges do we get this year?
Approximately between 700 and 730.
And how many commercial?
Approximately 300.
And how many were changed?
I don't know the answer to that.
Do we know how many were in 2010?
There were approximately, I want to say, 550 to 600
Bar challenges.
bar challenges. And just to complete the loop, the number of 700 plus is less than several years in the past, but more than the lowest year that the town has experienced.
Yeah, if you could maybe send to the board both the number of challenges in previous years, just so we have that information.
I can
but also,
provide that.
could you just also let me know what the results that happened this year? So in other words, how many commercial were approved?
And persons here, if someone is not satisfied with the bar result, what is their next step?
The next step for any homeowner, residential property owner who is dissatisfied with the results of the Board of Assessment Review process is to file what's called the Small Claims Assessment Review. The forms, as well as the instructions, are available on the Town of Rye website. They are available in the assessor's office. They're available in multiple locations. They have a complete set of instructions and all the forms. Essentially, you have to file your claim with the Westchester County, Mr. Iodona's office.
County clerk.
County clerk. As well as provide copies of anything filed with the county clerk to the town and the school districts and everybody else.
Beautiful. Okay, thanks so much, Mr. Markowitz. Mr. Byrnes, anything? Thank you.
I just want to highlight 2 quick points regarding the tax receivables for the town as of August 31st. On the first page that you have in front of you, the total tax receivables for the town as of August 31st are $3,768,322, and last year they were $4,050,000. So we are improving receivables, and that has to do with town attorney Mello, tax receiver Nick Mecca, constantly sending notices out regarding receivables. The one schedule I wanted to point out, if you look at the first page, the third line down on August 31st is the 2008 liens filed in 2009, and they became in rem as a